In this episode, we're talking to Claudia Mak, a Cyprus-based email strategist and copywriter specializing in e-commerce businesses. Claudia started freelancing in August of 2019, 2 months after she graduated college, and has since written for a wide range of companies and in various formats. She started traveling in 2021 and has been all over the globe, including Europe, America, Asia, and Australia. Claudia was born in Hong Kong, educated in the UK, and is currently based in Cyprus as a digital nomad. We discuss a wide range of topics, including platforms like Fiverr, international travel, and her experiences with culture, quality of life, and cost of living in the island nation of Cyprus. Be sure to follow Claudia with the links provided in the show notes. In case you can't tell, Claudia, we're just making this up as we go. We really don't.
Yeah.
Every episode we're just like, I guess we should try something new, see what works, play around with
Claudia's
the cameras.
thinking, I thought this was a fucking professional podcast.
Yeah.
No, totally. Like, I'm getting all the professional. No, by the way, I'm so sorry. I just jumped in. I'm like shifting around. Audio didn't work.
Don't worry.
Yeah.
We'll edit it, or we might just keep it in anyway.
Yeah.
Oh God. I mean, just coming in like wide-eyed, like deer in the headlights. But thank you for having me. Big honor.
Thanks for joining.
Yeah, no, this is awesome. I know we've all been talking a little bit just through like different chats and everything else. So it's nice to finally get everybody together and just see where things roll. I mean, this is how the reason I got started, just through the Francis's group, and then just one idea led into another. Like even with this, like we changed this. We've got like I think our only rule that we have is that we have no rules. Like we can literally say, you know what, this is working. Let's roll with that. Or even if it's an idea we thought was really awesome and the next day it's just not working, we're okay just tossing it out. And that's really the way you got to be these days, I think, especially with all the AI stuff and everything coming in. So anyway, so if it looks like we don't know what we're doing, I don't know.
It's
Maybe we
because
don't know what we're doing. Yeah, exactly.
So, hi, I'm Claudia. I am an email strategist and copywriter, and I work with e-commerce businesses. That was really awkward. I'm so sorry.
That was a great intro.
This
was
is
a great
so
intro.
bad.
Amazing.
Yeah, you haven't seen bad yet. Wait till I try to, because I'll do an intro for you before we. You should see me like record 30 minutes of video just to get 30 seconds. Just cursing at the birds and yelling at shit and I'm like, what is that between my teeth? So yeah, no, that was perfect. Good job.
Okay, thank you. I'll get better at this. I feel didn't have time to pour myself a drink, but we're good. Yeah.
Please do. If whatever makes you, if you want to go and get a drink,
can you excuse me for 15 seconds? You might see my cats as well, because I feel like they're.
There you go.
Yeah, like I mean, I was hanging out with Reese yesterday, and I like sat down and I was like, I want an Irish coffee, and after I was done, I was like, I want a whiskey sour. I was also having like kind of like one of those days, but like you got the like that Claudia, that one.
Yeah.
Not necessarily this one.
Well, that's the one we want now. We want that one. Go get that one.
Go get the whiskey.
Okay.
Yeah. It actually crossed my mind to grab a beer today too, just because you know how it works, But I got to work on I got like 8 meetings today.
Actually, on a Friday.
I might actually have a fridge out here.
We should maybe have a series where it's like every guest is like we're all having a drink.
Of course, I'm the one who starts this drink. Well, it's 5 o'clock. Yeah, and that's what I was gonna say.
We were so vanilla until today.
For anyone who's curious, I have rhubarb tonic water with hibiscus and some Bombay Sapphire dry gin and a beautiful ice cube. I feel like these are more for like whiskeys, but that's okay. We'll live with that.
Oh man, I'm not sure which one of these buildings.
I think Claudia's stealing the show.
Yeah, I know.
Oh shit! I'm so sorry. I'm like an asshole.
No, this is perfect.
While I make this drink, I can give you the goods as well while I make mine.
Well, this helps because we have a tendency to not, or we think we've prepared, but then we hit record and it's like, that doesn't really sound like it's going to work. So this helps. This helps. If I could find it. It's got to be a beer around here somewhere. I'm looking at 4 buildings and I don't know which one has a fridge in it. And I don't feel like jogging over there to get it. So I'm going to suffer through with my coffee for now. So you guys are both, you're both in Cyprus, right? That's how.
Yes.
Yeah. You've been here. Yeah. Tell us when did you arrive, Claudia?
Yeah. So I've been here on and off in total 1 year. So I first came here last year between February and May. So I was here for a full 3 months, and I don't know. I came here, I had zero expectations. I thought this was just going to be like a non-Schengen layover, 3 month long layover, because I had just spent all of my time in Italy and France. So I just needed somewhere to escape. And I mean, Cyprus really just blew all my expectations out of the water. Like I had no idea how like awesome this place would be, and how, I guess, like compatible I am with like the lifestyle and the environment and the culture here. And so after that, did some more traveling and then returned mid-September, and then stayed till mid-February, left for 3 months, and now I'm back for at least another 2 months.
Nice. And you went in the last few months, you were in Thailand, right?
I was in Thailand, yeah, in Phuket, in Bangkok, and also a week in Penang.
Big difference? Like what was the difference between here and Southeast Asia?
Yeah, well, like the biggest difference is like air quality, and that's something that I feel like a lot of people really take for granted until you don't have access to it. I don't know, like I guess here, it's not exactly like Germany or the Netherlands. Like it's not um as clear, things are not as clear cut, the rules aren't as strictly enforced, if I may say so. Maybe you, Reese, you've experienced this as well. Like you I'm sorry, like, I don't know if I should say this, but like, if you park really shittily, chances are you won't get a ticket. Whereas in other places, you are more likely. So it's kind of like loose enforcement. But then there's Thailand loose enforcement. So I think there's more organization here, better air quality, things are cleaner, and I think it's also more spaced out. So the overall pace and the vibe is just more relaxed, as opposed to like Bangkok or even Phuket, which are both really busy, lots of stuff going on, lots, always everywhere, traffic, sounds, smells, noises. So I'm really happy to be back, to be honest. Like it was a good run. But I'm happy that Cyprus is a good place to decompress and kind of enjoy the natural environment and enjoy the like more relaxed lifestyle, and be one with the earth, go to the beach, go hiking, go skiing. I feel like an infomercial for Cyprus, but that's been my experience.
You should start doing some outreach for the
maybe I should reach out to the tourism board. Like I am such an advocate of this place. And I mean, Reese has experienced this. Like, it's not for everyone, and not every part is for everyone. There are pockets where you're like, as a digital nomad, I don't think I'm going to enjoy myself here. But then there are also pockets that are really livable and really enjoyable, and you also get to build community and live a great lifestyle.
Now, other than the two of you being there, I haven't really heard much about it. I mean, I've heard of it before, but yeah, I haven't. It doesn't seem like yet. Anyway, I mean, we could be at the beginning of the tidal wave, where what happened with Spain is all of a sudden all of us are there now, which is not a bad thing.
Yeah.
But Cyprus is, I mean, I haven't heard anything good or bad about it. I mean, I'm hearing good things about it now, but it was just kind of like, in the back of my mind. But it sounds awesome. Now, do you run into a lot of other nomads, or is it like you're saying, where everything's kind of different neighborhoods have different types of people, or how's it laid out there?
So, I mean, if you were just going like about town, like it would probably be harder to find, I guess, your hub of nomads. Go to this weekly meetup thing called Blunchers, and Reese has been as well. And it's basically this Swedish couple, and they've been living here, I think this is their 7th year now. And they started it because they wanted to just gather all the expats, nomads, long-term foreigner, like people who live here, just have like a community of us. And I started doing that last year, and I've been going weekly ever since. And so those people are probably like the people I'm closest to, and they're all from somewhere else, and they all work online. And some of them are nomads. Some of them are, I guess, expats. Some of them have moved here permanently. So you got a good mixture, but everyone's super cool. You have that nomad mindset, that kind of yearning for adventure and travel and interesting experiences, and also that open-mindedness, to other experiences and other cultures.
I think that's really important. And something I haven't been very good at is getting more involved with groups and kind of, just getting out and everything else. But it sounds like you guys have a pretty good network there, though. Reese, have you been down to hang out with all these people too, or did your paths collide with your social groups? Or
yeah, I went to one of the Blunches meetups, two of the meetups. Like Claudia said, there's people from everywhere. There's a strong contingent of people living here, because I think people like you did, Claudia, they came here for kind of a layover outside of Schengen, or just to try it as a place to work from for a few months and get some sun, and then realize, cool, it's a developing island. Like, there's a couple of opportunities here to get some property, live under the sun, eat good food, all of that good stuff. So there's a lot of people that are like bedded down. There's particularly a lot of Germans here, a lot of Russians here. So yeah, it was a really, really nice group. There's also a co-working space called Huga. And then a lot of the people there are people who live here. And then you get the odd person that's traveling around at the same time. But yeah, it seems pretty friendly to people like us, especially people that want to come here, maybe start a business from here.
Yeah,
it's quite tax friendly, and it's got okay connections. It's not a big airport necessarily, but you're right next to Turkey. You've got the Balkans, you've got Italy in the west, and then you got south. You would have Tunisia. I can't remember.
Egypt, Lebanon, around. Yeah. I mean, don't go to Syria, don't go to Sudan, but yeah, they're there.
Yeah. So like you've got various places to go and visit from here. I think it's really nice.
Yeah, I think probably before we switch gears, since we've been doing a little bit of an infomercial here for Cyprus, which I think is awesome, because I think a lot of people are probably curious, because I'm curious about it. Yeah. One last thing is how, like, financially, without, obviously people can look this stuff up for themselves when it's their time to go there. But housing, like what's an average, monthly rent? How's the cost of living there?
I mean, one of the reasons I came was cost of living. I mean, I used to be based in London, which is insane. So this, in comparison to London, is excellent. The prices have gone up a lot in the past year, because there's been an influx of people just moving here between Russians and Ukrainians, and also nomads like myself. So I would say that something that's like a decent price range would be like 800 to 1,000, 1,100 for a 2-bedroom. And those are kind of like current prices, June 2023. It's high season now, and the market is very seasonal here, because, during the summer months, it just becomes a tourist town. Like, it's just everything's booked up, prices are jacked up. So it's better to come off season, which is anything after mid-September onwards till May. You can get really reasonable prices then. In terms of living, like your everyday essentials, pretty much what you would expect of like island living. I think because there are a lot of imports, like things might be on par with a supermarket in London, if not a little bit more expensive. But eating out, entertainment, all of that is way more affordable. And so you can kind of make up for it. So overall, I think I come out better than I would if I was staying in London. But it's not exactly like a cheap haven. I wouldn't use that term to describe it. It might have been a few years ago, but now, no, not so much.
I don't know anywhere in the world that's what we used to think was cheap. Yeah, no, there's certain places where I was convinced that I could look at now, like, oh, I'm gonna, like, there's certain parts of the U.S. even like around the Alabama coast on the Gulf of Mexico there. I was like, oh, maybe we'll go rent a house there for for a month. And I've done this before. It's not that long ago. You could rent a house for $1,500. It's like $5,000 a month now. So, but yeah, I think the whole world's kind of coming up in price. Yeah. But there's also like some truth to, or some thought behind, and this, not to sound pretentious or anything, I'm not like a fancy guy. Never mind all these toys and everything behind me here. But I'd also like when I travel, we want to be like comfortable and safe as well. So we don't really, like, if somebody said, hey, this is the cheapest place in the world to go live, I don't know. That might be a turnoff for me because, you do want like some conveniences and some level of like, there's got to be like an urgent care, just the basics, So I'm not going to go live somewhere like, hey, it's only $30 a month. Like, I don't know. I have to get there by loading up a donkey and going up a mountainside or something. I'm not into all that, but yeah. But anyway, we've let's Reese, you got anything else on Cyprus? We can actually talk about Claudia, where she's from and what she's doing, because we're gonna make this is gonna be a whole travel brochure here.
I mean, we touched on it when we met Claudia, but yeah, for everyone watching, for all 12 subscribers, we are growing. Yeah,
12 can't be wrong. 12 subscribers can't be wrong. That's awesome. Yeah.
What's the origin work-wise, like your e-commerce email strategist now? Where did it all begin?
I actually started on Fiverr. And true to the name, I actually started with a $5 gig. At the time, it was just about making side income, just testing it out. I had no expectations. I did not want to be my own boss at that point. That was not even, a consideration. And the first gig that I was, I will proofread or edit anything up to 1,000 words in 24 hours. I remember this. And yeah, I created the gig image, just threw it on. And 2 weeks later, I got my first order for $5. And I was so excited. I was like, wow, I made money online. I can't believe it. And I delivered. I got my first 5-star. So I continually optimized my Fiverr profile as well. And I think that helped a lot with like visibility and ranking higher and getting more eyeballs. So in a nutshell, it basically snowballed. I started getting so many orders that it pretty much became a full-time job. And as I got different types of writing to be edited, I also realized that there was a demand for different types of copy. And I didn't know what copy was at that point, but I realized some people wanted me to write home pages for their website, or a sales page, or edit their about page or bio, like team bios, long form content. And those are the things I started to offer individually with different gigs. Every time I saw like there was demand for something, I would create a new gig. And so this strategy worked out pretty well. I was able to get to top rated seller status, and I've actually had 5-figure months on Fiverr too. So it's been a great run. But, after a while, I realized that I just cannot put all my eggs in one basket, and I cannot be fully reliant on one platform. You can't build your platform on someone else's. And that's the truth, because their algorithm can change one day, or new rules, new requirements can change. And it's a very fickle algorithm. And you don't want that to be your only source of leads. And the other thing is, on Fiverr, you just don't get to own your project process. And I talk about this a lot, but they don't even allow you to have, say, a kickoff call with your client. Yeah, because they don't want you to be exchanging email info, WhatsApp, like phone numbers. You cannot meet them on video. And I've asked customer support, I'm like, so this client really wants me to, talk things call, and I think it would be really beneficial. And they're like, no, there's no way around it. And everything, all of your communication has to happen on the platform and the chat box. And it's just harder to manage expectations, communicate really effectively, being able to communicate comprehensively. The revisions process is a whole other thing. But basically, if you get a very unscrupulous buyer, you can be in the revision process like indefinitely until you give up and you cancel and you lose basically all of your time and effort. So
Have you had horror stories like that?
Yeah, for sure. I mean, there are people that, are just looking for free work. At the start, I would be so stressed out by even one bad client. And I would try and negotiate, but I realized, you don't negotiate with terrorists. I don't know if that's true, actually. Like, I mean, that's up for debate, right? But for me, it's been like, I'm not even going to deal with this. This is going nowhere. I know where you're at, and we're not playing. I'm not playing with you. That's it. I'll cancel your order. I'll rather forego all the time and effort that I've put into it rather than fight with you and create this whole dispute, get support involved. And it's more energy and effort, and you don't even know who support would side with. So that's another
No
reason
one wins.
No, well, the client wins because like I have already delivered, the
I
initial
see what you
draft or
mean.
what, yeah. And you have to do that. You have to deliver, and they can just click revisions like to infinity, and you can't do anything about it. And that's like that's another flaw of the platform. Like there are these different like little flaws on the platform that makes it quite difficult for you to properly feel confident and feel that you're going to be paid for what you do and that you're not going to be abused by a client. And so I quickly learned, and I would say now I have like pretty skin, especially when it comes to clients because of this. Like I've dealt with so many of different styles of communication. I've dealt with people who just want free shit, or I've dealt with people that you just cannot please whatsoever. And you're like, I'll let you go. I don't need to deal with this. I don't have to risk a bad review. It's not worth it. So I've learned a lot from being on the platform, and going like all in on the platform. And now I'm just happy to be building my own platform off of Fiverr.
And leveraging those 750 reviews, right?
Oh yeah. I mean, so it's so funny. When Francis and I were discussing pitches, actually asking him questions about them, and I was like, oh, I've sent like a few pitches and I don't get responses. And he's like, well, you should talk about your experience.
Great experience, because everyone in our world knows about Fiverr, and people always have opinions of it. And it's great to actually hear someone that's been on it, hammered it, done a really good job 750 times, which is great. But you're right, like to spread the eggs, so to speak, in terms of different baskets, like building your own platform, your own place is important.
Mm-hmm.
So what happened post Fiverr?
I think post Fiverr, actually, I mean, speaking of post Fiverr, I think that maybe, people who, rely on or work primarily on these platforms can resonate, but you kind of don't know what to do because the thing is, Fiverr takes 20% of all of your sales. And you might think, oh, that's fucking a lot. I mean, it's a lot, right? But they also do all of the work for you. Like once you're at the top, you're on first page, you're in the first row, people just come in. You don't have to do any marketing. You just like do your orders, you fulfill your orders. And going off of Fiverr is you cannot do that. There's no one to lead gen for you. And I think post Fiverr, the hardest thing was definitely the lead generation, the visibility, marketing, getting in front of the right clients. And also because on Fiverr, I was just, I was working with everyone because like I had all these different businesses coming to me, and they were so different and in style and what they sold, in size. And once you get off of it, the conventional wisdom is let's niche down, let's be a specialist in an area. And for the first time, I'm like, uh-oh, who am I, what am I specializing in? Who am I selling specifically to? So I had, I guess, a period where I was confused and I was lost, and I had to do a lot of trial and error and testing. I tried targeting creative entrepreneurs. I tried targeting brick and mortar stores. And I think looking back on my experiences on Fiverr, I think the ones that I enjoyed working the most actually was a golf apparel brand, beauty brand, hair care, and fashion brand. And so I was like, oh, look, there's a little selection, and what do they all have in common? They sell online. And so I was like, oh, this is maybe, something that I can explore. And that's how I got into e-commerce. In terms of overcoming that lead gen, I mean, it's just, what we're told to do, just reach out, the cold emails on LinkedIn, the DMs. So I've been experimenting, trial and erroring with all these different avenues, just figuring out what works for me and what feels good and how exactly I should do it. And I feel like that's still a work in progress, but I already feel more confident just from having done, I guess, a period of a lot of cold outreach and just figuring out how I should present myself, how I should show up in someone's inbox, and how I can kind of present myself as someone who can be of service as opposed to like someone who just wants your money. So yeah, I'm figuring it out.
Yeah, it's a bit of a numbers game, like I'm hearing back from some people now, because I had a similar path. I chose to go through Upwork, and I had a Fiverr and an Upwork account. And I only stuck with Upwork because that's where I got my first couple of clients. So I was like, well, I'm not, because once you get traction in one platform, you get a couple of reviews and it shows your earnings there on Upwork. I'm like, well, I might as well stick with this one. And you're right, it's hot leads, so it's like super easy, well, so to speak. It's easier. And then with the cold outreach, and we all have our own, share probably the same opinion on that. Same with the niching down thing. That's, I think we think it's the kind of where we're going to the age of the generalist now. But as far as the cold outreach stuff, I'm hearing back from people that I reached out to like a year ago. I don't even remember who they are. They're like, hey, can you help me with this? I'm like, who the fuck are you? Did I say something to you about helping you with your website? Because now the price is triple. So yeah, but it's just a numbers game. You got to keep at it. It's like if you DM 10 people a day over the course of a month, that's 300 people or more. It'll come back to you. But it is frustrating. But yeah, no, starting with that. Now that you have your reviews and a little bit of backing, I mean, that's a huge deal. And I try to tell anybody who comes to me for advice on where to get started. And I know some people we know kind of frown upon the platforms like Fiverr and Upwork. I'm telling you, if you want to make money right away and you don't have much experience and you just want to get some reviews, I mean, look, by all means, if you want to go the cold DM route, go ahead. But I think, anybody who's new, and we talked about this, I think, in our second episode, sometimes you're just not worth anything in the beginning. So, you got people like me, for example. I came off a corporate job when I left the US a couple of years ago, and I was making decent money, but I was new to this shit. So if I have to work for $5 an hour in the beginning, that's just something I have to do. Like I can't expect to roll in here like, I used to make $150,000 a year. I'm not working for less than X amount of dollars per hour. I'm like, well, you don't know shit here, asshole. So, you got to start from the bottom somewhere. So the platforms are pretty good. And that's where we kind of typically point people. But yeah, the cold outreach, are you still like, how much of that do you think you do per day? Is it like a constant thing or?
So I actually kind of tallied up my stats for the first time in May. I've always kind of been sporadic on and off, and I never really tracked my efforts, which was a mistake that I've learned from. What's measured is managed. So in May, I really was super intentional with tracking all the numbers, and I sent 96 pitches out in May, which is not great, but because I wanted to, like, the target was to do 20 a day. So like 96 is like less than a week on target. But I did also have like 10 days of like traveling and, like adjusting all of that. But out of, I think 96, I heard back from maybe 16. I mean, one or two were like no's, but the rest were like, keep you on file, do a test, do this and that. And I'm in communication with, 4. And so we're kind of figuring out how to structure our agreement. We're at that stage now, which is really exciting, actually. So that's all from 96 pitches. And I'm going to figure out what's going on with these 4. But if not, I'll just, continually do some outreach. And I think I've gotten to a point where I'm actually very comfortable with doing the outreach. I think I've found an approach and a template that works for me, that I'm comfortable with. And I think that also gets some pretty good results based on my experimentation in May. And I was thinking about this morning, even if I do get some long-term, and I put them in air quotes because you don't really know and nothing's like set in stone, right? But say I have some agreements, I still have to figure out how to grow my personal brand and continually build relationships, because if something goes wrong, I need to have a plan, and a plan B and a plan C, and make sure I have built a strong enough network to a point where even if I lose 1 or 2 contracts, I still have something to fall back on, at least a lead.
For sure. It's really great to hear the success you've had with it, because it is something that a lot of people are like scared of. They're like, it's unfamiliar. And you said it. I'm really glad you said the words, I'm quite confident with it now, because it shows that when you do that stuff you've never done before, on the other side, you're not going to be the same person anymore. And so if you're someone looking at like, oh, I have to send 100 emails out to people I've never met, well, just think what you're going to be like when you have sent those 100 emails, and that's what you've experienced, which is amazing. And your rate is insane. So I want to see this email at some point.
Yeah, no, it's funny if you send out a bunch of in the beginning, you send out those cold pitches, like your Reese was just saying, and like it's funny after a while, rejection does get hilarious. Like in the beginning, like you get the first couple back, and like, well, first of all, they're mean if they reply and they say you suck anyway. That's a terrible thing to do. But like in the beginning, you send out 10, you don't hear back from anybody, and you don't have that mindset yet where you can kind of roll through that. Now I think it's funny. I'm in a position now where I can think it's funny, but it toughens you up, and then you just learn to roll through things, and you just learn to deal with the numbers game. And there's not one thing that I've done over the last, I don't know how many years I've been working, 27 years or something. Like nothing's ever, not one time, been as bad as I thought it was going to be, or as hard or as scary as I thought it was going to be, or as time consuming. So you're right. Just getting on, like you were saying, getting on the other side of something. And so for anybody watching or listening, it's like, I don't even know where to start with all that. Just start with 1 a day, and if you don't hear back, don't worry about it. And if you do hear back and they say something nasty, you'll laugh about it eventually. Maybe not today, but it will be funny at some point.
For sure. And the goal is not to, it is, but the goal is not to get the yes. It's just start sending. You send them out there. Expect no's. But when you get into a habit of it and you're able to confidently and comfortably send more and more, and you're sending 10, 15 a day, it will become easy. And again, like you say, you're going to become more confident. You will start to get yeses. It is a numbers game. There's there's a client out there for all of us. There's plenty of them in the sea.
Yeah, there's a ton of money out there. There's, that's what everybody worries about too. Like, oh, the space is too saturated, or, there's like, look how many people are on the planet now. It's like 8 billion, and I don't know how many have access to the internet, but it's the majority. And then on top of that, how many businesses are out there? And it's like Francis says too, like you only need the one client, one good client. So we get that a lot too. Like, aren't there too many copywriters? What about AI or, whatever? Like these things are all true, but there's money just laying out there. You just have to go grab it, so it's not nearly as hard as most people think it's going to be.
Yeah, for sure. So your Fiverr nailed that. You're doing outreach now. Are you doing any agency work right now, or is it pure outreach and
agency? And we've been going back and forth, and he's trying to lock in his client so that I can go in and manage that. And I kind of raised my hand in a few other places like Facebook groups and all of that. And I'm also in communication about a potential fourth. So everything's kind of coming together, maybe in the coming week, ideally. But yeah, they're actually mostly agencies. And for this pitching round, I focused only on agencies because I'd never done that before. I never thought to do that. I'd only pitched brands before. But I decided to try something different. And I mean, pitching solopreneurship is about doing things different. If you're unhappy with the results that you're seeing, chances are you're doing something wrong or you're not doing something yet. And if you keep on doing the same thing, right? Insanity, you got to change. Like if you want to see different results, you have to do something different, right? And for me, that was like, okay, let's change the pitch approach. Let's change who we're targeting. Let's change the style, and let's go from not sending any emails to sending one and then sending 5, 10, and 20. I've sent 20 in a day before, and it was good. I felt like really nice and productive, and I didn't feel like, oh, I'm so scared or nervous. Like, no. But I think growth and the good stuff, fulfillment, joy, all the like tip top of the Maslow pyramid, it comes from being courageous and just like doing things differently.
Well, I think we can end it there.
I think you've noticed that we don't ever know how to end these things. And it was running through my mind a minute ago. I'm like, oh, we got to figure this out. That's perfect. We're out. I'm out of here. See you later. Perfect. No, that was great.
Sprinting to the fridge for the beer.
Yeah. Oh my God. I know. I actually might do it because the next meeting I have is really. But back to real quick about the agency work. Those all count towards portfolios too. Absolutely, like if I do, because I have like 3, I don't know how many agencies I'm working for now. I'm trying to get rid of some. So I'm hoping some of them start watching these and they're like, he's talking about us, fire him, but they haven't. That's how I know when one of them emails me and is like, yeah, we don't need you anymore. I'm like, fucking watch the podcast. And
I've made it. I've made it.
Yeah. So I try to talk as much shit as I can about them when we're doing this, but yeah, I take all that stuff and I throw it in my portfolio. So if I'm doing 10 funnels or emails or press releases, I don't know. I don't know what the rules are, if they're already. I should probably look this up, but that's still your work though, so an agency is a good way to build up, just kind of like Fiverr gives you hot leads. An agency is also a way to get quote unquote hot leads, even though you're getting paid probably by hour or by project. But, some people, and again, this is all personal preference, but I've found having private, just singular clients where you get a little bit more money and a little more flexibility, they can be just as annoying as an agency client who expects, like all this work to be done for a certain flat fee. I like to keep a mix of it. There's no perfect client out there, or if there is, I haven't found one yet. But I do like with the agency stuff, even though some people frown upon that, I enjoy that. Look, I check my inbox from them. I know what to expect. I'm talking to the same, content manager every day. They pay me every 2 weeks. That doesn't get skipped. Like sometimes you have to hound other clients for that kind of stuff. And then I'm able to throw it in the portfolio. So I think I like to have a mix of both, but no, agency work's not as bad. It's just a little bit less money. But again, the agency owner, they get the lion's share of the money, but they're also doing all the work. They're dealing with the client. They're doing all the things that sometimes we don't want to do. So there's a trade-off there anyway. But if he's got to take off, this is a good place to stop. I should probably go feed an animal or something. Guys. And no, you're good. All right. But anyway, though, that was awesome. This will be out probably in the next couple of days. I'll throw it all together. I'll send it to you guys first to take a look. And then I guess we'll have to catch up one of these days in person. And then probably if we get a chance, we'll have you back on here when we come up with the next big topic. So,
because you'll be killing it with even more clients then.
Yeah.
Hopefully, make it all rain for all of us, right?
Yeah.